Lots of NFL news to get to, including a pretty big injury, so stay tuned for that. Welcome into Verts. My name is Harrison Graham. Another coaching change. The second coach to get fired midseason is Dennis Allen. The Saints pulling the plug on this thing after 7 straight losses. They started 2-0, now 2-7, and it kind of just got put on full display yesterday when you get Derek Carr back, you're playing Bryce Young and the Panthers, and you still lose. You give up a late drive to Bryce Young, who the one thing Dennis Allen has going for him is he's supposed to be a defensive guy, and you give up a late touchdown, just kind of the nail in the coffin. And listen, I feel for Allen a little bit because they have had so many injuries this year, just been completely decimated, starters going out left and right. But you get Derek Carr back and a couple of guys back the last few weeks, and you lose to Carolina in that operation, I can't blame Gail Benson, Mickey Loomis for going this route. And I think it's become pretty clear after this Saints tenure for Dennis Allen, he's a really good defensive coordinator, maybe even great. He is not a head coach. He is just not an NFL head coach. His Raiders tenure was a joke. And I get it. Sometimes guys aren't ready. They get a second chance and it works out. But I think the lesson here and where the NFL is at this point in time, defensive guys moving forward are rarely going to get second chances to be head coaches now. Could there be exceptions? Could Brian Flores get another chance? Yeah, I think he could. But offensive guys are way more likely to get a second chance than defensive guys moving forward. I think that is pretty clear. And I look at this Saints job, joining the Jets as the 2 jobs that are open already heading into the offseason. Is New Orleans that good of a job? They are $60 million over the cap projected going into next year per over the cap. And they have just continued year after year to push money down the road. Oh, the cap is fake. Look at the Saints. They manipulate it. Okay, fine, but it limits your wiggle room year in and year out. The over-the-cap Jason guy, the expert there, said they only have like 2 or 3 contracts that they could just cut guys and save real money because they've just continuously pushed money down the road. Could they do that again? I guess they could keep doing it, but like eventually you're probably just going to have to suck it up for a year and just be bad. They might have to just do that next year. They might have to convince Derek Carr to take a little bit of a pay cut and then just be bad for a year. And they're in the mix for the number 1 pick, but it's not a great quarterback draft. I wonder if you're New Orleans right now, and again, I don't think this job is that attractive right now. Do you hire a coach and kind of say, hey, there's no chance of success in year 1. We're going to finally get these contracts, we're going to get our books straightened out, and in 2026, we're going to look to take off. Like if you're the Saints, you get a top 5, top 3 pick. Do you just try to do what the Bears did a few years ago? Trade the pick, get more picks for the future, and then really start thinking 2026 and beyond? Because you're not going anywhere with Derek Carr and these contracts that you keep having to restructure just to get under the cap. This team's not talented enough. Like their defense has good pieces, but a lot of those guys are getting older. The offense has Chris Olave, but he's more like a really good number 2 than a number 1. The offensive line is kind of in shambles. I wonder if you're New Orleans, if you kind of just take this on the chin, suck for a year, and then think 2026 and beyond. That's kind of what I would be doing. Now, clearly the way they've operated with their cap, they're not in the business of wasting years, and that would kind of feel like a waste, and it would suck if you're a Saints fan next year. But I do think it would be best for their long-term health of that franchise. But I just think with their money situation, quarterback situation, now maybe some coaches view this QB class really good, and if they get a top 3 pick, maybe they would sell themselves on Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward or whoever. But I don't view this as a top job right now. Like I don't really like either of the 2 jobs that are open with the Jets and the Saints. Now I look at the Saints firing Dennis Allen, and I look at the Bears, and I'm like, why would you not do the same? Why would you not pull the plug on Matt Eberflus? There's a lot of parallels here. Both are good defensive minds. Both don't really inspire a lot of confidence in terms of leading the entire football team. Like Dennis Allen, Matt Eberflus has a poor record, actually a much worse record as a head coach. But I think one big difference is between the Bears' job and the Saints' job and even the Jets' job is I think the Bears have a better outlook than the Saints and the Jets from a, hey, I'd be interested in taking this job. Think about what the Bears have right now. Their defense is good. Say what you want about Caleb Williams. He's clearly struggled the last couple of weeks. He's clearly talented. You have him on a rookie deal for 3 or 4 more years. They've got pieces on offense. DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, DeAndre Swift's a good player. They got to get better on the offensive line. Defense is mostly set. Might have to tweak a few things here and there. Like, if you're Ben Johnson or Mike Vrabel or whoever, wouldn't you rather have the Bears job, albeit cheap ownership? It's, a history of coaches not exactly excelling there, but the Saints or the Jets, it's not like they've been awesome recently. Even the last few years of the Sean Payton thing, he was like, get me out of here. This just isn't working anymore. So I do wonder if the Bears just did this, if they would immediately be the clear top job on the market. And what is the point of running out the string with Eberflus? If the Saints can fire Dennis Allen midseason, who won 9 games last year and almost made the playoffs, why is Eberflus still employed by the Bears? How about this shocking stat? I know you Bears fans know this, but not everybody does. Matt Eberflus, as the Bears head coach, is 0-18 in Sunday road games. He's won 3 road games, but they've all, weirdly enough, not been on Sunday. He's won 2 Thursday night games on the road and a Monday night game on the road. 0-18 when they play on the road on Sunday. Think about that. That's impossible. That is impossible. You can't just accidentally run into a win. I mean, it's incredible. And I got news for you. If you can't win on the road, you can't be a playoff team because half of your games are on the road. So it's not good for the Bears right now. But I do think if they make a coaching change and get the right guy, unlike the Saints and even the Jets, although maybe Rodgers could find some magic next year, although I doubt it. I don't love their situation moving forward. The Bears feel like a team with the right coach could be a playoff team immediately next year. Tough division, but much more young and rising talent on that roster. Plus, while Caleb's an unknown, a talented guy that if you get the right coach in there, you would think you could figure some things out with. All right, I got to rant about the Cowboys real quick, then we'll get out of here. Actually, just got some Dak Prescott news, so stay tuned for that. But Dallas is now 3-5, just lost in Atlanta. Jerry Jones, I mean, this guy, he's unbelievable, man. He might be the greatest salesman to ever live. After the game, what does he do? Talks to the media like he always does. Still says he believes. Still says he might even be willing to make some trades now. I mean, just all kinds of stuff. It's like, Jerry, just watch the team. You don't have that good of a team this year. You said this offseason you were going to go all in. You didn't make any moves. A couple key guys have gotten hurt, and you're just not that good. I mean, this is probably a 7-10 type of team, and maybe worse with Dak Prescott's injury situation, but we'll get to that in a second. Jerry claims he believes. You know who doesn't? The quarterback. Did anybody see the clip? Game cameras caught Dak Prescott on the sideline mouthing, "We fucking suck," when he was talking to Trey Lance when he was out of the game with the hamstring issue. Your own quarterback is like, yeah, we're just not very good. we're not a very good team. Our defense has taken a massive step back. I'm not playing that well, talking about Dak. CD's the only real weapon on offense. The running back group is an embarrassment. You've got this Zeke situation. It's like, why is he even on the team? Just cut him. Like, what a joke. And now Dak is injured. So not only does he not believe, not only are you in shambles at 3-5, according to Rapoport and others, his hamstring injury is worse than expected and will miss multiple games. I mean, their season's over. Philly 6-2, Washington 7-2. You're not closing that gap. The NFC wildcard picture, the 7 seed right now is Green Bay at 5-3. So you're already 2 games back of the final playoff spot. The Cowboys are done. They will not be a playoff team this year. And the only question now is, do they sell off some parts before tomorrow's trade deadline? Would they consider trading Micah Parsons? That seems more like an offseason move. Could you trade Zach Martin to a contender like the Texans within the state could use offensive line help? Would you trade DeMarcus Lawrence? I mean, this team, this situation has just gotten out of control. And let's be honest, where this probably ends is McCarthy's going to get fired at the end of the year. That's where this is heading. He will not be back, and they're going to have to start over at head coach. And it's not a complete reboot because you just paid Dak, you paid CD, like those are two cornerstone pieces, but you're going to have to tweak some things. And obviously that's going to start with the coach. We'll see who they can bring in here. Does Belichick take this job? Do they go kind of the safe route with the guy like Mike Vrabel, a guy who at least, is solid? Could you get Ben Johnson? I mean, that would be kind of going for the home run. I'm not sure you could / Jerry would go that route, but this thing's done. You're not going to be a playoff team, and now you're kind of just playing out the year. Does McCarthy get fired midseason? Do they just play it out? I tend to think they'll just play it out, but it's not good, and now Dak's going to miss some time, which means Cooper Rush is in there. I'll say this. Let's say Cooper Rush loses next week and you're 3-6. Do you play Trey Lance and just see if he can do anything? Now, I have no belief in Trey Lance. I think he's terrible. He looked awful in the preseason. Can't imagine what he'd look like in a real game, but what do you have to lose? And honestly, he'd kind of be a perfect tank commander. Just play him. You're probably not going to win any games. You lose. If you win 1 or 2 more games max, 5 wins or less, you're going to have a top 5 or 6 pick probably. I mean, maybe that's the route you go. If this thing falls apart even more the next couple of weeks, say you're 3-7, like, do you just play Trey Lance the rest of the year? Just take it on the chin. Hey, Dak, you're our guy. Obviously, we paid you, but we're just going to shut you down. I do wonder if that's a possibility for the Dallas Cowboys. All right, that's it for today's NFL News Roundup. We'll be back tonight after Monday Night Football to talk more about the week and any trade buzz that's out there because the trade deadline is tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Not sure exactly what our coverage will look like tomorrow, but we'll have something on the channel for you guys, so be sure to lock us in. My name is Harrison Graham. This is Verts. Subscribe for more NFL and college football content.